गोविंद देशिकम उपास्य सिराय भक्त्याम तस्मिन् स्थिते निजमाहिम्नि विदेह मुक्त्याम अद्वैत्य भाष्यम उपकल्प दिशो विजीत्याम कांचीपुरे स्थितम अवापसा शंकराय ऋतिस्मृति पुराणानाम आलयम कालयम नमामि भगवत्पाद शंकरम लोकशंकरम अपार करुणा सिंधुम ज्ञानतम शांतरूपिणम श्रीचंद्रशेखर गुरुम प्रणमामि मुदाम्यहम सदाशिव समारंभाम शंकराचार्य मध्यमाम अस्मदाचार्य पर्यंताम वंदे गुरु परंपराम. With benediction to Adi Shankaracharya and to his lineage up to the 69th Guru of the venerated Kamakoti Peetam, Pujya Sri Jayendra Saraswati Swamigal, in whose benign and august presence this function is being held, I bow to him as I commence my address today. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this pleasant and solemn function organized this evening to commemorate the Amritotsavam, the 75 years of His Holiness Pujya Sri Jayendra Saraswati Swamigal. These celebrations, which started in the month of July in Kanchipuram, have travelled the length and breadth of the country, and today they have come onto this blessed land of Parashurama, Adi Shankara, and the presiding deity of this town, which protects and saves the citizens of this city. This blessed land of ours has a living history that spans several millennia. Westerners have always wondered as to what is it that has kept this nation united despite the diversity of its culture. We have 6 major religions, 1,600 castes and subcastes, 6 ethnic groups, 52 major tribes, 29 states, might be when I complete the address you might have a Telangana flowing in, 7 union territories, all rolled and fused into one, called as Bharat. Mark Twain calls this as the cradle of human civilization, the birthplace of human speech, the mother of history, the grandmother of tradition, and the great-grandmother of legend. If singularly there is one cause that has kept this nation together and bound it together, unlike other nations large enough which have been balkanized in the 20th century, it is the saints and the servants who appeared in this part of the globe at several points of time in history, blessed this part of the globe, and allowed people to remain together. Tallest amongst them, at this point of time in history, is Pujya Sri Jayendra Saraswati Swamigal. There is no rationing of sainthood in this country. There is no legislation that also controls saffronization. There are countless number of stars in the sky, but it is only one moon that dispels the darkness. Ekas chandra tamo hanti nacha tasa ganani cha. Despite countless number of saints traversing this country, it's only a few who spread goodness and radiate blessings around. And the Swamiji, like the celestial moon, has been doing this all through his lifetime. This frail human body form that has adored the sage for over 75 years has neither weathered nor stalled with time. In fact, at a time when people would like to have a glimpse of the sage, he is at their doorsteps. He traverses the length and breadth of the country, unmindful of the stress and the strain that comes onto him, to reach out to the devotees and to be with the poorest of poor, that human face of tragedy whenever it comes in this part of the country. The energy that he has is something to be seen, to be believed. And this energy that he has is thanks to the kataksham of his Guru. Odair enappadum ukkam adillar odayadu odero matru, says Thiruvulluvar in Thirukkural. Only those who are possessed of positive energy and diligence, they have wealth. Whether others have any wealth at all is what Thiruvulluvar is asking. Adi Shankara is known for his several works and the commentaries that he had written, the Bhashyas that he had written, Brahmasutra Bhashyam being the foremost of all of them. That is why he is called as a Bhashyakara. This Bhashyakara never addressed himself in person, in the first person, in any of his compositions, except in Manisha Panchakam. Panchakam by the very word is 5 verses. Manisha Panchakam is a compilation of the qualities of a guru that Adi Shankara envisages and brings out in these 5 Amrita Panchakams that came in. In a sense, it's a portrayal of Shankara himself, because next to Meda Dakshinamurti, Shankara is the foremost of the gurus that has descended onto this planet. Manisha Panchakam also is an encapsulation of the experience of Shankara as Lord Vishveshwara unfolded himself on the banks of Ganges in the form of Chandala. Chandala provokes Shankara by asking him, whom do you want to move, the body or the soul? And he goes further to say, if the rays of the sun were to fall onto the celestial and the pure and the pristine waters of Ganges, and if they were to also fall onto the cesspool in the backyard of Chandala, is there any difference in the rays of the sun that are emanating? When there is no such distinction which is there in the sun's rays, how can there be distinctions which are based on caste, creed and community? The Chandala episode brings to forth the oneness of creation. Adi Shankara, all during his lifetime of 32 years, and more particularly those 24 years after Yajnaopavitam, had forged this oneness of creation in all his compositions, works and preachings. And that is what the sage of Kanchi has been doing all through these 75 years. The Chandala episode brings out the relevance of Guru in one's own lifetime. There is nothing that we can achieve without the blessings of Guru. It is the Guru who is the Margadarshi, the Guru who lays down the path, who tells you how to move on in this life journey and realize the purpose of life. Jantunam Narajanmam Durlabham. The most difficult form of birth ever to be given to a creature, in Viveka Chudamani the Lord says, is human birth. And if that birth is to be fulfilled, you need the grace of a Guru to guide you on that marga or path. Arunagirinathar says in Tirupugal, Guruvai Varuvai Arulvai Guhane. O Lord Shanmuga, do not come to me as Kartikeya, come to me in the form of a Guru and bless me. Because it is the Guru who is the agent through whom you reach out to the Lord. Tirumular says in Tirumandram, Telivi Turuveni Kadal, Telivi Guru Namam Ketkal, Telivi Teruvartha Sollal, Telivi Guru Chindanayildane. It is only when you absorb yourself in the thought of the Guru will clarity come onto you. And then the purpose of life is known. Then the marga or the direction that you need to take will be identified for you. I've always wondered as to why Adi Shankara, the foremost of gurus, who is a manifestation of the Lord himself, had to go in search of a guru. In his northern parikrama, Uttara parikrama, he comes to Narmada, and in the Omkareshwar, he comes to the cave to find out his guru, Guru Govinda Bhagavat Pada. And when he comes before him in the caves, the guru asks him who you are. Shankara gives that famous reply, Na bhumir na toyam, na tejo na vayuhu, nakam na indriyam, sam na tesham samuha. And then he concludes by saying, Shivaf kevaloham. If I am Lord Shiva myself, where is the need for the Lord himself to have a guru? But Shankara conclusively demonstrated during his lifespan that nothing could have been achieved by him but for the grace of his guru, Guru Govinda Bhagavat Pada. Bhajagovindam is generally construed to be one which extols the virtues of Murari, Lord Krishna. There is a school of thought which says, Bhajagovinda Bhagavat Pada. It is also in praise of the Guru himself. So that is the essence of a Guru, and nothing can be achieved without the grace of a Guru. On an occasion like this, when we are fortunate to be in the presence of the Guru, the benign presence of the Guru, what is it that we can pray of him? I think I'll go back to Arunagirinathar when he said, Sharana Kamal Alayathil, Arai Nimidam Neramathil, Tavamurai Dhyana Murai Aryado. 600 years before Arunagirinathar said, a time will come in history when people will say that we do not have even half a minute to surrender ourselves to the Lord every day. Our prayer to the Guru on this day is, let us not belong to this flock of people who do not have even half a minute for the Lord. Let us belong to a class which will surrender unto the Guru. On an occasion like this, what is it that you ask of the Guru? Because it is customary for us whenever we come to the Guru to address our problems and seek of solutions from him. But more importantly, what is it that we ask of him? Shankara himself answers it by saying, what is it that you will ask of the Lord himself? Prashnam Garalam Panifalafo. And then he goes to conclude that verse by saying, Tava Padambujam Bhakti Meva Dehi. O Lord, if I were to ask of you for food. All that you have is a Neelakantam, a poisonous throat, so I cannot get food from you. If I were to ask of you for a cloth so that this biting winter I can face, all that you have is an old elephant's skin, that will be of no use to me. If I were to ask of you for a contrivance so that I can move out of you and make a living for myself, all that you have is an old bull. If, Lord, I were to ask of you for an ornament so that I can go home peacefully, all that you have is a serpent round your neck. So what is it, O Lord, that you can give unto me? Shankara's humor then gives way to the truth when he says, Tava padambujam bhakti meva dehi. I don't need anything else. Give me bhakti at your lotus feet. And what type of bhakti? Yaya asad dravam dravati, by which even a stone idol will melt. That type of bhakti. That bhakti is capable of giving all that Shankara enumerated, because all those things will come on to us the moment we have bhakti towards the Guru in this form as it is coming in. This frail human form that you are seeing, for the 75 years has traveled all over the country, as I have said. It is very difficult to comprehend as to how an ordinary human frame can traverse the length and breadth of this country, from Kanyakumari to Kashmir on one side, to Pashupatinath or Nepal on the other side, to Dhaka on this side, or lower down to Trivandrum on this side. Not once, 3 times by foot, covering a distance of 1 lakh kilometers in the minimum. Na bhuto na bhavishyati. Even Adi Shankara had done only once. His own Guru had covered over 27 years from Kanchipuram to Kashi. But this Guru of ours has traversed this country not once, 3 times. It's unimaginable that he had done this. It is only to reach out to the devotees and to extend a hand of help to the poorest of poor. But this ungrateful citizenry, treacherous as it is, lost all that when the appointed hour came. On the 11th of November 2004, when catastrophe struck the mud, all the devotees, all the ordinary human beings, the Sanatana Dharmis succumbed to fear. They were drowned into inertia. They moved out of sight, more out of fear than out of any genuine reason. But the fact remained that they left this mud with a glorious tradition of 2,500 years and more, and its acharyas alone, only to the mercy of their Guru and Chandramaulishvara. For a moment, a duly elected government sprang itself into a banana republic. The law will take its own course, and the law has to take its own course. But for the government of the day, it was it which decided what course the law has to take. It is not difficult for all of you to see what's happening in the courts of law. Not one single witness, 34 have come till now, have corroborated the findings of the prosecution, including the children and wife deceased on the basis of which the charge sheets were framed. It is a foisted framed case. But then we shall wait for the judgment to be delivered. But we Astikas carry along with us a shame, a burden on all of us, that at the gravest hour of crisis, to all of us to whom he was everything, he and the Matt was everything. It's a parampara which has followed several generations for us. Yasya Niravasanti, whom we used to breathe, we went out of sight. But it is time for remorse and redemption, my dear friends. That time has come, that appointed hour has come. Today, on this auspicious occasion, there are 4 persons of excellence who are being honored. Men and women who have stamped infinity on the thought and process of this nation and added to the reservoir of goodness of this blessed land of ours. People who have proved by their works that they can transform lives. People who can support the positive energies that spreads on to this blessed land of ours. Now these are the torchbearers of this nation. These are the people who carry it forward. Shankara himself says in Bhajagovindam that this life is transient. We are losing it by every hour, by every day. It is the time that devours it. Even the waves, like the waves which are intransient and impermanent, so also is wealth. This life will come and go away. It is only by surrendering at the lotus feet of the Guru and of the Lord Himself that we can redeem ourselves. Let us pray of the Guru today that we shall redeem this mud. We shall bring the pristine purity of this mud as it existed before the 11th of November 2004. We shall leave no stone unturned to bring the glory of all that was carried on for 2,500 years. And that would be the true tribute that we shall pay to Him. That would be the celebration, not even worthy of 75 years or even 100 years. It is one that would be for the cause of Sanatana Dharma and the larger cause of humanity. May the Jagannmata, Kamakoti Kamakshi, shed her grace on him. Jivet Sharata Shatam. When he lives 100 years, we have a selfish interest so that we will continue to be blessed for at least a minimum of 25 more years by him. May the Jagannmata also grace us, give us her mercy so that we will be able to distinguish between right and wrong, between good and evil, and draw a leaf out of the life of nobility of the sage and make our own life sublime. Thank you and God bless you all.